Hey guys, just finished watching Young Justice, Season 3, Episode 2, Royal We. Yeah, what an episode. This one was kind of interesting. I know I said I wouldn't really be watching this show, but I happened to have a day off, so here we go. Here we are, and I'm watching it. So, and I think it was kind of interesting. This episode, it started off with we see Beast Boy is the first character we really see, and I listened to the voice. I was like, oh my god, I recognize that voice. And like, oh my god, that's the original voice from the 2003 cartoon, the one who's in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and all that stuff. It's not the same voice as we had in the original first two seasons of Young Justice. And I was thinking about that. It's like, did they just recast that just because, you know, for fanfare and stuff, which I don't mind something like that. I love when they do that, like when they did it on Supergirl. They recast Supergirl's Earth mother or Kryptonian mother with a legacy casting. I think that's really cool. I love when they do that. When they do that for no other reason, it's like, oh, it's disappointing. But when they do that for, legacy casting, I think that's okay. I find it acceptable for that, and I think that's it makes it's just so much better having that kind of that relationship. That who else? What other better role is there for Erica Durance to play on Supergirl than Carlos? Not her Earth mother, but her birth mother. So both mothers are played by legacy castings. But that's getting off topic. Here we have Beast Boy, and he's played by Greg Sips. He plays Scar Logan. He plays Beast Boy. He's been voicing Beast Boy for over 10 years now, since 2003. So I think that's really cool seeing that, and it makes sense that now that he's older, there's been another 2-year time jump. We last saw him in season 2. There's been a 2-year time jump. Maybe he's hit puberty and everything, and he has now the classic voice that most people recognize. Most people watching this show would recognize as Beast Boy's voice over than the one that they had, the young kid that they had for season 2. So I think that's interesting there. That was really cool. We see the Justice League announce that the resignation of certain superheroes, Batman, Green Lantern, Batman, Green Arrow, and they even announced Plastic Man. I think that was really cool. So it's going to be cool to see as to how Plastic Man gets played on in here. Since I don't really know too much about him. I know obviously he stretches, and he was an ex-criminal that turned superhero type thing. I really know a lot about Plastic Man, right? Kind of learned a lot about Plastic Man was from the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon and stuff. So it's really going to be cool to see him in this thing, and kind of with the rumors of maybe a Plastic Man movie in development. I think this could be kind of an interesting idea to see is how they do it. Is he going to be DC's Deadpool? I doubt it and stuff, but I think it's going to be cool to see that and to see us do a bit more about him, and hopefully he can become a full-on character in this, because there are a lot of characters in here that are they're here and stuff, but they don't really have, like, we don't really develop their personality or anything like that. Like Superman, he's here, but he only has, like, if you count how many lines he has throughout the whole show, probably not much. He probably doesn't have 30 minutes, like a full, I mean, maybe by now with season 3, but even then I don't think he has a 30 minutes worth of if you took all the words that he said, all the dialogue that he says, and put them one right after the other, it wouldn't probably come out to like 30 minutes at all type thing. So I think that's kind of interesting with that. So it'd be cool to see if he becomes a full-on character, maybe as much as like Batman is a character. He's a fleshed out character, but yet he is not as fleshed out as, like, any of the Young Justice members, the younger characters and stuff. So I think that could be interesting to see as to how they could play something like that, and maybe see Plastic Man team up with different characters and stuff. And this episode was really interesting. We follow along the secret mission that Dick Grayson wanted to do, and he was finding different people for in the last episode, and I think that was quite interesting with that. And that got me thinking as to, is he working for Batman? I doubt that he'd be working for Batman. He'd want to do his own thing. At this point, does he realize that Batman has left the Justice League? I can't remember if he found that out in the last episode. Or if he hasn't found out yet in this episode. I think that would be interesting to see as to what his opinion is on that, and would he, be working for Batman? I mean, everything's always, financed by Batman, right? Batman's probably financing everything. Oliver Queen is probably also financing some stuff, but Batman's, it'd be interesting to see if they can just to get an idea as to how much Batman and Oliver Queen have in this universe. Is Batman a billionaire, trillionaire? And is Oliver Queen, if Batman's a trillionaire, is Oliver Queen also a trillionaire, or is he just a billionaire or just a millionaire, right? And Batman is a billionaire and just Oliver Queen's a trillionaire, or they're both the same, and how much more does Batman have? I would say that Batman has to have more than Oliver Queen because he's Batman, than Green Arrow and stuff. But I think it would be cool just to get an idea as to how much more they do that. Maybe if there's a scene where they have to kind of both play up their playboyness and kind of hide in a crowd, right? They got to play up the Bruce Wayne and Oliver Queen playboy, and the rivalry between the two. It would be cool to get an idea as to see as to kind of how much one has over the other, who is richer, right? And how much more is richer. Imagine to be Batman, but is he 3 times richer? Is he literally 3 times the net worth of Green Arrow? I think that'd be something interesting to find out. But getting back to this thing, like I said, it would be cool to see as to would Dick Grayson, team up with Batman with him, kind of leaving the Justice League, or is he not kind of wanting to be associated with that, or would he team up with him when it suits him? He's on his own mission. He doesn't want to be, ruled by Batman. He doesn't want to, have to do what Batman says. I guess he obviously does that, but he doesn't want to follow Batman's orders. But he would probably team up if it was necessary. And I think that's really going to be cool as to see as to where things kind of go with that. And with the tagline of the season being the Outsiders, I really want to follow Dick Grayson and the people that are not part of the Young Justice, part of the. I guess they need to have a name for the team. They don't know if they're part of the Justice League. I guess they're the Junior Justice League or something. But they need to just call themselves the Teen Titans or something. I don't know why they don't do that. It's cartoon, and it's easy to keep it separate from the Titans because it's cartoon, right? So I think that would be interesting to see as to what is the name of the Young Justice, all the younger characters, all the sidekicks and stuff. What is their name of their team? Are they just the young kids of the Justice League? They need to have a specific name separate from the Justice League just to keep track of that. I think it would be a lot easier doing that. And I'd like to follow, Dick Grayson, the ones that are not part of the Young Justice League and the Batman Inc. team with Green Arrow and all that stuff. I'd like to follow them and see, maybe we follow obviously Dick Grayson and his storyline, but also having kind of every now and then they kind of cross paths with the Batman Inc. Team type thing. I think that could be cool playing with that. So in this episode, we see that Byron, Prince Brion, wants to activate his metagene inside of himself to try and find his sister. And that was kind of interesting dealing with that, playing with that storyline. We see Superboy and Black Lightning end up finding some kids in pods and stuff, which is kind of interesting because if you were watching Black Lightning, the live action CW show, there's also a pod storyline going on, so I'm not sure if that's coincidence or if it's kind of inspired, but it's an interesting fact here. But the pods, I guess, were originally in Young Justice first in the second season when the kids were dealing with the metahuman trafficking kids. So they get attacked by Count Vertigo, and one of the kids, one of the red kids looking thing that Black Lightning had killed in the last episode back when he was on Titan, I think is the planet, I'm not sure. I think that was interesting dealing with that, so he's not able to use his powers and stuff. And we see Artemis end up finding a bunch of guys kind of burying some kids, and then one of them kind of wakes up and stuff, and she has these kind of weird powers and stuff. So that'll be cool to see as to who she becomes. Hopefully it's actually a character from the comic books and not just kind of some made up character for the show, because I mean this show by far is great at using characters from the comics because it's animation. They can do whatever they want. No powers is too much, right? But I mean, with this character, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see as who this is, but maybe they can become someone. I think that could be quite interesting to see as to who they are. And on IMDb here, they just list her as Dead Girl. So it could be interesting to see as to where things kind of go with that character. So we see that Count Vertigo ends up capturing Superboy, and that's kind of interesting that he instantly recognizes. As soon as he takes off the mask, he's able to recognize him as Superboy, so that's going to be interesting to see where things go with that. We see Black Lightning jumps into the water, and then hits his back on some rocks, and the next thing we see him with Artemis, and he stands up and stuff, and then, Dick is just like, okay, you guys need to go do this, as if, he can just walk right up. And there was no mention of whether or not how he was injured. Like, he hit himself on the rock. Like, that, to me, is just kind of silly as to how is he not either, one, paralyzed, because he's just a human, right? He's not Superboy. If this would have been Superboy, okay, cool, knocked him out, right? I get that. He's just Black Lightning, Now, if he had, maybe he was falling in and tried to slow himself down with his powers, but because his powers are kind of, not really working very well, It kind of slowed him down to a crawl, and then but not enough, right? That would have made sense, but he just kind of straight up jumped in. He jumped like it looked like he jumped. The place was at least a couple hundred feet, from the water there where they jumped in. It looked at least 100 feet down. So that looks like it was probably a hard fall, going like that. So I'm surprised that he wasn't, even if he wasn't, paralyzed from that, he should at least be crippled for a little bit, like immense pain in his back where he can't move, and he needs to let that heal. I think it would still take, at least a month or something of bruising, a super bruising that would be on there. And I understand that would make sense, that someone in the Justice League, someone out there could have powers to kind of heal him, Dr. Fate, any character like that could kind of heal him. Batman would have some sort of super secret medical tech, right, to help heal him easily that he had set up at the Justice League and stuff. But for the sake of this mission, it would be so easy for him to, it would have made sense for him to be out of the episode. Now, because of it, he was knocked out for a while, and they really didn't do much in the episode, but to just show him stand right up, and if it looks like we pick up the next episode continuing on this mission while we're still in the middle of this mission, and he's going to be running around and stuff, that's going to be kind of a bit silly. I know this is cartoon and stuff, but just because it's a cartoon, I'm not going to kind of let go those things that don't make sense like that. I'm going to treat it like it's a live action stuff, and not let those stuff, because I find with the thing with cartoons like this cartoon is, because it's cartoon, you let some of those things slide. You're not as nitpicky about it because it's cartoon, and if it's live action, you're thinking, oh, it's more realistic, and then they just go, well, that doesn't make sense. When you're seeing it live action, right, you're instantly more able to pick up things that are not realistic and stuff. So I think with this, I try to be a little bit more scrutinize it just a little bit more than I automatically do, just because I treat it more like a live action, scrutinize it like that than it would for a cartoon, because it can't really, things like that need to make sense, right? So we see Simon Exik end up showing Byron the meta kids and the tubes, and Vertigo ends up knocking him out, and like, what the hell you're thinking, showing him all of our stuff, and then he gets put into a pod, and that's when Helga Jace ends up activating the meta gene act in him, kind of setting him in the goo. Or that's where the episode ends, is with the kind of the meta gene black goo stuff kind of starts floating up and kind of taking him out. So we'll see if he gets his powers in the next episode. Someone like, yes, Superboy could wake up and kind of break his way out of that, but Count Vertigo recognized him as Superboy, so he probably won't be breaking out of that. He should have some sort of kryptonite aspect, I guess, with this, or since Superboy is part human, he has a lot more weaknesses than Superman, and he probably would be able to call up Lex Luthor and be like, hey, I got Superboy, how do I restrain him, and Lex Luthor would know exactly, since he created Superboy, would know exactly how to kind of capture him and keep him captive and stuff like that. But that's going to be cool to see, as to if Brion gets some powers. I think that'll be quite interesting dealing with that, especially at the beginning of this episode. We had like the UN summit, talking with everyone talking about announcing of the Batman and Green Arrow resigning from the Justice League, and then people talking about how there's no one from Markovia in the Justice League, and they're like, and the Amazonians are just like, if you can produce a hero, not a villain, we will gladly, induct him into the Justice League. But you just need to prove you have a hero, right? So I think maybe that could have been the foreshadowing of him, this character, Prince Brion, becoming a superhero type thing. So that's going to be cool to see as to where things go with that. Like I said, hopefully it's a character from the comics. This show is really good at doing that, so I think it could be really interesting to see that, but we'll have to wait and see as if it becomes a brand new character. It could be interesting. But like I said, I love touching upon characters from the comics. Like, there are many other characters that they don't need to create new characters just for this show. There's so many characters, you got the leader of superheroes that they could bring in. That could be a storyline they haven't touched upon yet. We still obviously have to deal with the cliffhanger from the season 2, which was Darkseid and Vandal Savage shaking hands, teaming up, right? That's like the biggest cliffhanger ever. And then we could deal, like I said, with the Legion of Superheroes, the Legion of Substitute Superheroes. I think that would be something quite interesting to play with. It's a funny, old 60s characters who are not good enough to even join the Legion of Superheroes type thing. So that could be fun, playing with characters like that. I'd like to see more characters, even if it's just background characters in like group shots whenever the whole Justice League is activated, and not really get like fleshing them out as a character, but characters like Arm Fall Off Boy could be fun characters to have on here, and quite funny characters just as, cameos throughout the group shots type thing, just say that he's he's been in he joins the Justice League, or something like that. It could be quite fun to different characters like that. Adam, Eater Lad, those characters could be kind of interesting, unless they want to keep those for a Leader of Superheroes and not have them in this timeline and keep them from the 31st century with Mon-El and things like that, which would kind of be interesting to do that. And also, it would be cool is if they ever did Mon-El, would they get Chris Wood to come back and voice him? I think that could be quite interesting, playing with something like that. So all in all, I can't wait to see as to where things go with this. Love to see someone like Cyborg. He could be really cool. That could be cool here. They could probably get Ray Fisher maybe to voice him. That would be kind of interesting there. I don't think he's been too busy doing stuff, at least not that I've seen on his online type thing, but it would be kind of interesting to get him. It did get Wonder Woman for Gal Gadot to voice Wonder Woman in the Lego movie coming up, but characters like Cyborg and stuff would be kind of really cool to see. It'd be quite interesting to see different characters like that. And also would be cool to know is if we had Jay Garrick, I think, in season 2, so it'd be cool to know as to where he is, since it's been another time jump. Is Jay Garrick still alive? He looked like he was really old in his 60s or even 70s, 70s or 80s maybe in the last time we saw him. It wasn't really clear as to how old he was, but I mean, it was clear, but it was just not, they never really specified his age. So it would be cool to see if he's still alive, and where the other characters are. It also would be cool to see other, Green Lanterns. We saw Hal Jordan. We see the other guy, I can't think of his name, John Stewart, but it would also be cool to see the original characters like Alan Scott and type of thing. Those would be really cool characters to see, just playing with that and diving into the deeper stuff and just seeing where things are. So it's going to be cool to see as to where things go. We haven't seen Blue Beetle in this season yet. It's always only been 2 episodes, but it would be cool to see those characters too, where they are, and kind of finding out more about them. So all in all, really excited to see as to where things go with this show. I'm really liking it, to seeing how things continue on. I definitely can't wait to see where things go. But like I said, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to watch these shows, just because life's a bit busy right now with my job. So we'll have to wait and see as to when I get to watch the next episode. Who knows? So let me know what you think, guys, about this video in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which should be the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, which should be coming out later today. So we'll see you guys then. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.